Let's try this now. How about now? So I was worried about the sound not being very good, and I just unplugged it and plugged it back in. So if you can hear this, you'll have to let me know if you can actually hear this and if it sounds okay. So folks, please help me out here and make sure that it works out. Anybody? When I started it earlier, this button was blinking red, and so I was a little concerned that it wasn't working. So help me out. Anybody? Well, I'm going to assume that it is working until I see something in the stream. Jay says the sound is good. That is awesome. And I'm going to take this down so I don't have to look at myself while I do that. So I am using StreamYard today because turns out some sort of change was made in YouTube Studio. So it used to be with YouTube, what I would do is set up my stream and then just go there and click the button that says basically stream now. And then it would just show up and I wouldn't have to use something extra. But when I went in there today, because I'm lazy and I didn't set this up in advance and didn't have major plans to do anything fancy, it wanted me to specifically hook up a streaming software, which I generally don't do unless I'm having like a party or trying to do a live stream interview. So if you folks are out there and who are also using stream, like the streaming stuff, let me know if you have that same issue or if I'm just really stupid. Because last week I just hit stream. No, last week I used StreamYard. The week before I just used just a regular StreamYard. So I don't know what is going on. I'm going to check in the chat to see who is here and say hey to everybody. And I want to say hey specifically to Jay Bug because Jay gets upset when we don't say hi to him specifically. Imran is here. JBK is here. And hey, I am glad you made it. I looked for you last week and I was sad that you didn't make it. So if you have questions, throw them in there. I am here pretty much specifically because I wanted to talk to you. I mean, everybody else, but specifically JBK. Pete says, Gravelly Voice is working. And I say, thanks, Pete. Thanks for checking in. I see Mike is here. How's it going? Renat is here. Pete says, can we vote for the latter anonymously? Were you looking at my my plan? This is my super professional, you know, people always pop on late. They're like, what are we talking about? What are we doing? What's the plan? So this is the live stream plan. And if I have to use StreamYard, then I'm going to just use it and not complain about having to use it. As always, put your wins, progress in the chat. I want to hear about them. Sabine is there and I say, hello, happy to be here for the weekly dose. And I say, well, you're going to have to convince me, is this weekly thing, like, is this a good thing that we should continue to do? So that is something that I wanted to actually talk about. All right, so here is the big plan. And if you can see, there's a whole bunch of stuff on here. And usually there isn't. Usually I just come on and want to talk. But we're going to start with the announcements. So the first announcement that I have is one that's personal to me. Actually, Ezoic is doing what they call Diligence. And in the past, this was an in-person, not a seminar, a conference. They would meet and usually more informally and have beers. But it was invitation only, and so it was exclusive, and they're actually going to do it online. And so I got asked to participate in it and to talk about growing YouTube, which probably is the only thing that I'm qualified to talk about. But I'm actually going to get to present with Leon Angus, which is pretty cool. And it's not going to be like a major talk. Like I don't have to come up with a slide deck and all that, but we're going to do a Q&A together apparently. And so I'm really excited about it because I really like Leon, and we had a really great interview a couple of weeks ago, months, I don't know, but that is exciting. So in the description, it's free to attend. It is the 28th, 29th, and 30th, I believe, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And you should check out the link in the description. Again, it's free. There's no money. There's nothing. But I get to talk with Leon like at the same time and then answer questions. So if anybody has that time on Thursday free, please go register and show up so that the folks over at Diligence know that we are all awesome. There's some other presentations. It's specifically for publishers of content sites. So with that in mind, but again, it's in the description and check that out. Let's see. I see Adrian. What's up, bosses? Hey, thanks for dropping in. You can see I've got a plan here. This is my professional plan, so people can see and know where we are. Pete says you said something has changed or just really stupid. Yeah, no, I will own the fact that I am not exactly like the awesomest streamer or any of those things. I will own that. I will be the first one to say it without fear. Sabine says, this is where I find out what the current dramas in the blogging world are. So totally worth having, even if some weeks are drama free. You know, not every week is full of drama or is that exciting. But it is fun to be here and to check in. So anyway, we talked about YouTube Studio. I'm going to check that off. And then we talked about Pub Diligence, which I'm going to present at. So we're going to check that off. And then I want to talk about quickly the Just Start program with Ezoic. So if you followed the channel, about a month ago, we did this. We participated in a pilot program where they experimented with letting folks in that had 1,000 sessions or more rather than 10,000 sessions or more. And they're actually going to start a program. They call it Just Start. And what that will mean is that there will be no minimum page view limitations. So it will be anybody of any size who wants to start it. I don't want to call it a pilot. They're going to do a test batch of folks to let them through. But this is going to be different than just applying, I guess, for any ad network. What they're going to do is they're going to allow 200 people in. So 200 accounts. I don't know if it matters how many sites you have, but 200 new accounts. But what they're going to do is they're actually going to add some education as part of this program. So they will have folks who are going through, and I think the assumption is that folks who don't have very much traffic are still really new in the whole world of display ads and of monetizing websites. And so for folks that have really small sites and not very much traffic, but want to get started in ads, they're going to have some, and I'm looking over here at my screen, I'm reading the information, but they have some educational courses that you will have to do in order to have access to Ezoic. So you can attend them live or recorded, and that you have to do those courses to get access to Ezoic and the ad inventory. And it will be something that you'll do at your own pace. So I just think this is actually kind of cool, which is why I wanted to talk about it today and let you guys know. It's not going to be essentially out there for the world to access. People who want to do this will only be able to get a link through someone else who's participating already in the Ezoic ecosystem. I'm pretty sure that I will have a link. So if folks who are interested in it, it looks like, I'm looking down at my notes, they're going to launch this on the 24th of July, and they will just leave the registration open until July 31st or until all the spots have been filled. And for folks that sign up, I expect that it would take about a week for them to know for sure whether or not folks made it. So again, if you're interested in getting into Ezoic and you don't have enough traffic or any traffic at all, but you're interested in a program where you can get your site involved and learn as you go, it's free as far as I know, and it's something that's kind of cool. So again, they're calling it the Just Start program. And I expect to have a link on the 24th, and I'll just put it in one of the community posts rather than doing a video about it. I mean, maybe I'll do a video about it, but just wanted to put that out there. I'm checking over in the comments because I am going through my schedule right here, announcements, shout outs, my personal progress, and etc. I did want to give a quick shout out to someone who is in this community who has not given me authority to say his or her name, but they did start a brand new YouTube channel. And I'm super excited whenever I hear stuff like that, where people just jump out and start something new, because I know how hard it is to get out there and to put yourself out there. And so I just wanted to give someone a high five, pat them on the back. I'll just do it for me, and you just know it's for you. And if you're watching this, I hope you are, and you know who you are, and I'm so proud of you. All right, so let's see. Next thing on the list here, shout outs, my personal progress updates, accountability. Let's go over to the chat because I really don't want to talk about myself. Going through the comments, and I see Adrian saying he's on his way from work, so he can't chat, but we all know Adrian is here. And if folks want to say hi to Adrian, I will read those comments. Josh says, super professional plan. You know what? I am trying, Josh. I came on last week and I feel like I performed so poorly that I didn't even stay on for a half an hour. I think I got on and I was like, And so I decided that today I was going to try a little bit harder to make an actually valuable stream. So here I am. This is me trying. Oh, JBK. So we know Jay is here because Jay is thinking about purchasing an online business of some kind. And I think that's how Jay found this community, because of my videos about buying online businesses or about empire flippers. He says he's still researching which website he wants to buy. And question, he said, when did you know that you were ready to buy your first site? And what does due diligence look like? So how did I know when I was ready to buy my first site? And folks, if you are in the comments and you have bought a site, please feel free to respond to this question. Let's help out Jay if we can. I knew when I was ready because I was super excited and I couldn't stop myself. And maybe I should have continued to do my due diligence, and maybe I should have waited, but I was too excited. I was convinced from having done my research and having started some sites and having done some work that I was ready and that it was time. And that's just how I knew. But I'm kind of an impulsive person. Not everybody who does business or lives that way. I tend to want to jump into things and find out how things work. I'm the kind of person who buys something and then I want to tear it apart because I want to see what it looks like on the inside, and I can't stop myself. It's like a tick. It's like I just cannot control myself. I just want to know how people are doing things. So for me, it was the combination of that excitement and that knowledge. Like I had started some sites and I had failed a handful of times, but I had done a lot of research and I felt like I knew why I had gone wrong. And I had some small successes and I was like, I have the money, and it is not so much that if I risked it and lost it all, that I would be out on the street, that I would be embarrassed, right? I would have to own my failures and all the rest. But it was this convergence of all these things, of feeling ready, of feeling excited, and having what I felt like was enough knowledge from having done things wrong to say, let's go. What does my due diligence look like? My due diligence looks a lot like Jared Krause's due diligence. And I don't know if you've seen the videos on the channel here or if you followed Jared Krause at all. He has a due diligence, flow spreadsheet that he shares, and it's free. And I recommend that people check it out. And I pretty much did a video that was going through his spreadsheet because I liked it so much. For me, I don't just accept what it is that they list on the site. I like to have actual access first and foremost to the platforms that they are saying are important for this site. So for example, if they list the traffic, I want to have at least some sort of access directly to Google Analytics. So I don't like screenshots. I like to be able to get into the platform and have them give me some user level access to be able to get in there and to move around. I like to have backend access to the website and to see what it looks like. How disorganized is it? What's really in there? You don't want to necessarily have access that could change anything, but you want to at least have some level of access to see what is actually going on in the back end. What plugins do they have? What plugins are in there but aren't being updated? What sort of a catastrophe are the posts are? Like what is it that you are actually getting? I like to look at the content specifically and read through it. I'll run it through Copyscape. I will actually look at the site and say, is this something that I would want to own? Is this topic, is this niche something that I could actually write another 300 posts about or manage someone else in writing their posts about? The due diligence in my mind comes down to a couple things. One is verifying the information that is put out there by the broker or by the seller. You actually want to verify it. You don't want to just accept that things are what they are. So maybe it means, subscribing to Ahrefs for 7 days for $1 and running the site through and looking at the backlinks and looking at the keywords where they rank. And maybe it's, signing up for Moz or something else where you can run that information through. Maybe it's getting user level access to Google Search Console, and you should be able to do that and to be able to see, what the data looks like in there. Is it indexed, and are there pages that are or are not indexed? Do you have Web Core Vitals issues, which we know is going to be an issue in 2021? What do the impressions look like? What does the traffic curve look like? You just need to have a lot more information than what it is that the broker puts out there, and you just don't want to accept what it is that they say as just the way. So that's a bit about what mine looks like. Let's see, what else do we have over here? Keep asking questions, Jay. I'm totally down to answer whatever I can. I see Pete leaving me smiley faces. Jay says, did you notice the bug? And you guys, did you notice that I even shut the door so that some like random fly can't roll in here and disturb my live stream? That totally happened. Josh said he signed up for the pub too. Yeah, are you talking about Subtelligence? Because if you are, that will be really fun, and I hope that you will be there and you will harass us with lots of questions because I'm excited about it. Of course, but you already got attention. Adrian says, Jay, how are you? We already said that. Let's see. Matthew says, hello, made it. And I say, hello, Matthew. If you haven't asked any questions yet, you should. Let me hear it. Jesse says, what did I miss? What are they launching? And the reason that I put announcements in the beginning, and I'll go back really quick, was I'm going to participate in Pubtelligence. It's something you can sign up for that's going on July 28th, 29th, and 30th. I'm going to be doing a Q&A with Leon Angus, and there's a bunch of other cool folks that are going to present there as well. This was pre-recorded. I don't think so. I don't think so. Chris says, hey, and I say, hey, Chris, how's it going? I would love to hear progress from you, how things are going with Niche Safari, what sort of traffic you're seeing over there, and whether or not it's still fun. I would love to hear about it. I was going to ask you about the Azoic thing since I haven't heard back from them. Well, it could be that my phone's buzzing. I don't know what's up with that. Well, I don't know exactly. So I know, Adrian, that you signed up and used my link to get through to the pilot program, and it makes me wonder whether or not you got in there. Why don't you message me afterwards, and then we'll see if we can check on that and to see what happened. Launching. Amelia loves the great outdoors, so she's announced that she's strapping herself to a SpaceX rocket to launch into space. Did I say that? I'm pretty sure I didn't. Josh says, hey, it's nice looking. I couldn't make nice graphics like that. Yeah, I don't make anything. StreamYard does it for me. WP. I have no idea what's going on over here. I got distracted by actually talking, and then let's see. Jay actually says, J-Bug, so actually participating. Thank you, Jay, very much. He said, I would check backlinks and traffics and earnings. If you can monetize it even more, that would be great. I'd only buy it if there was no YouTube channel along and you can build it. Oh my goodness, you guys. Below the door, honey. Is that what's happening? Yeah, apparently we've got trouble now, and I don't know what the guys are talking about. Josh has some progress. He says he migrated a second site to Carbonate, which was on my goal list today, and I'm going to give you the high five, pat you on the back. I love progress. I love progress of any kinds, big or small. Ines says hi, and I say, hey, what's up? Thanks for dropping in. Folks, if you have questions, comments, whatever, please leave them in there. Dimitri says, hello, did you join Azoic Premium? And if yes, how's it going? So I got the invite to Azoic Premium about 2 months ago, and I did a quick video about it. I trialed it, and then as I was in the middle of my trial, my case study site that I was trialing it on got hit by the May the 4th update and just decimated the earnings. And so the way it was playing out, that if my site was continuing to earn what it was, I would actually be paying more in Azoic Premium than I would be earning. And I just wasn't sure where the site was going to go. So I cut it. And so I'm not actually participating in Azoic Premium now, but not because I didn't like the program. I just had some other troubles and wasn't prepared to be testing Azoic Premium at the time. Pete says, how's the speed? I saw a site on it that was dead slow. So if you're talking about Azoic and that it was dead slow, I don't think that anybody can argue that display ads and sites slow them down. I think that's pretty much the standard across the board. It's just a question of how much. And I think that's going to be different for everybody. Oh, Pete's asking Josh about carbonate. Sorry. Matt says, I'm in the UK, just starting out my first niche site. I'm an ex-barrister, so love the law. Like you, I'm so glad I found your channel. So Matt, I wouldn't say necessarily that I love the law. I think love is a strong word. I'm pretty sure I had a love-hate relationship with the law. I think that is about as far as I'm willing to go with that. But I do think that there's a lot about being a lawyer or barrister that really makes, I guess, the internet and about making money online like a really great place for us, because we are skeptical, we are analytical, we are used to working hard, we are used to dealing with tough challenges and pushing through them. And so I think it really makes us primed to be successful here. And I think that's why you do see a lot of former legal professionals doing really well here, because we're used to putting in lots of hours and working really hard and having people crap on us and hate us and still find a way to make something good out of it. So welcome, congratulations. And I look forward to, I guess, going with you on your journey. I'm excited about it. People are asking what you were launching because they missed the announcement. Yeah, I'm not launching anything. I'm definitely not launching myself into space, although I'm tempted to strap Pete to a rocket and launch him. Cat Speak, I know it's you, Mike. That's why I said, hey, Mike, how's it going? That's why I didn't call you out and say, hey, Cat Speak, because I totally know it's you, and I'm glad to see you here. Yeah, I know. I'm catching up. Josh says that he's got a 99 and 99 using Carbonate, so I assume that's 99 on desktop and 99 on mobile. Carbonate is owned by the dude behind Swim University. That's Matt Giovanisi. Giovanisi. He's been on Doug Cunnington's channel before, and he does, I'm pretty sure, his own theme, like a super stripped down version of his own theme. And that's what I remember of him. I actually liked that interview quite a bit that Doug did with him. I think it's worth checking out. It's $18 a year for hosting. That is dirt cheap. Dirt cheap. Never been under 90, even on a low-cost host. Jay says, hey, Amelia, alongside the jokes, do you have any more YouTube channels, or is this your only one? And any tips on building it up? Wow, I could talk about YouTube all day, because that is really what I am, I wouldn't say totally focused on, but it is a big focus, because it's sort of taken on this personal challenge to, I guess, conquer YouTube, because it was a fear of mine, you know, going online and putting myself out there on videos. I think the initial things, it just depends on where you are in your journey. So if you're someone who is just thinking about getting started on YouTube, I think what you have to do initially is what I did, which is start making videos and just make bad ones and make a lot of them. And then what you do over time is you learn what works and what doesn't. And it's sort of this loop of feedback. So you do something and then see what happens, and then do something and then see what happens. And over time, you're able to hone your own strategy. I think what you don't want to do is what I did and often do, which is get sucked into consuming all the content out there by YouTube creators about being successful on YouTube, because every single one of those people honed that skill and that expertise from making and launching videos. That's really what they did. Every one of them is able to teach and be a guru about YouTube because they just made a lot of videos. So what I would do if I were just getting started is to make a lot of videos and make a lot of terrible videos. And then in the future, when you start to grow, you can delist those videos or even delete them. But that is my primary tip. Do I have another YouTube channel? I do. It's not one I share. It came with a website that I bought, and it's something that I'm still working on. It's just not a niche that I know that much about. And so I'm still working on it. I have been honestly going back and forth about starting a new channel that's separate and apart from this, to see how well I can actually build a new channel from scratch, and then to be able to come back and do a case study. But I feel like with what I have going on, so I have this podcast that I'm working on, and then this newsletter that I'm working on, and this YouTube channel that I'm working on, and then a handful of niche sites that I have content for. I feel like it's a shiny object right now. So I am waiting. I don't know there. Let's see. Naeem says, my EPMV has dropped drastically on YouTube this month. Did you experience the same? So here's what I think about EPMVs. And I have it on my list to talk about. So I had taken Ezoic off my website after the May the 4th crash because I wanted to do some work on it. I wanted to get some base levels for what the site speed actually was with and without ads. And I also wanted to change the theme. And what I noticed when I added it back on is that the EMPV was different. But here's the thing. So you can't say, EPMV from month to month, especially after an update, is going to be apples to apples, because what I see is that I got a lot of my traffic back, right? Which is awesome. But not all of the keywords and pages that previously ranked before are the result of that traffic. And so what I would do if I were you, before we start comparing apples to apples, to say last month was this and this month is this and everything sucks because of my ad network or whatever, is to look at which pages are earning you money. Because for me, what I found was that my very valuable pages that used to rank aren't ranking now. And some pages that are not quite as valuable are now ranking. So I have lots of traffic now. And when I say lots, I mean, I have a lot more than I did after the May the 4th. And then the recovery, I got a lot of traffic back, but they are not the pages that were as valuable before. And so for me, part of my recovery of my EPMV is probably either looking at the pages that are more valuable in my Ezoic dashboard, see the ones that earn the most, and find a way to see if I can build those up so that they get more traffic, or creating new content around other valuable keywords that will rank so I can get my EPMV back up. For me, the difference in my EPMV is the change in ranking. So pages that are not product focused, that advertisers aren't excited about advertising on. Yes, they still earn money because essentially even no cost keywords can still earn from advertising. But for me, it's just not as much because those pages are not as valuable for advertisers. So I'm not going to place the blame on Ezoic. I'm not going to place the blame on anybody, but the fact that I have some pages that don't earn as well because they are not product focused and nobody is interested in advertising on them, or spending a lot of money to advertise on them because they're not helpful for monetizing them. Let's see. Do you ever leverage your experience to do anything in the legal niche, lead gen perhaps? I haven't. And part of that is because I am concerned about providing legal advice to folks that are not in my jurisdiction. I know there are lawyers that do that, and I just have not explored that because I don't want to get hit or dinged for the unauthorized practice of law in jurisdictions that I'm not authorized to practice in. And you say, well, you live in your city and you could be, licensed to practice in that state. But what if my client is in Brazil or in Florida or in England? And then you say, oh, well, what if you just provide information and not legal advice? And then you say, well, what is the difference between legal information and legal advice? Do I accidentally make someone my client because I start advising them and helping them? And that's just not trouble that I have wanted to get into. I've considered and actually thrown my hat into the ring to provide high quality content for other websites that need content about the law, but nobody wants to pay me what I want to earn. And so I haven't done that. Next question, talking about Matt Giovannici. I can't even say his name. Giovannici's theme. He tried it on his site, and Generate Press was the fastest. And Matt plans to be strapped to a SpaceX rocket, so your hands are full. Matt says, I agree. I have made 200 YouTube videos. One of the videos now has 660,000 views, but the early ones have maybe 300 or 400 views. If that, Matt, you deserve a high five, a pat on the back. I can't even find my harmonica. I would play you a tune. I think that's really awesome. You should feel excited and proud of that. I think there's a lot of folks in this group who would be really happy to have even a fraction of that traffic to video, and I am one of them. Yep. Sabine says, have I done something wrong? You're not sending them yet. I don't get your Substack, even though I am subscribed. So let me talk about the Substack. So I originally, when I set this up, I thought I would work on putting out a weekly newsletter. And I found that this was really challenging to get something out weekly with my current content schedule and my other obligations, family or otherwise. And so I decided that I was going to do just what I could when I could, and changed it from my weekly newsletter. I'm calling it Field Reports now. And then I got this idea that I would do my Empire Flippers report, but as I was preparing it, I realized that there were a lot of folks that were newer to this community who didn't have the backstory. And then I realized that my Empire Flippers videos didn't really have a lot of the backstory in them, which I think is really relevant to the summary of the ultimate, was this a good idea or not, or would I do this again or not? So I decided to create a series on Substack where I would go back and sort of write that out rather than burden my YouTube community with the, here's my personal origin story stuff. And I didn't feel very confident about them or releasing them one at a time to your email inboxes. So I decided, all right, I'll complete the 4-part series and I'll do the YouTube video, and then I will blast them out. So if you guys want to see them as they're coming out, you can go to the Substack. It's emilia.substack.com, and you can see them. And then when I get to part 4, when I have the YouTube video, which I expect to do this weekend, I'm going to blast them out. So if you haven't been seeing a newsletter, and I've had this question a couple of times, people are like, where is it? Am I missing something? You're not missing something. I'm just in the middle of trying to create something that's meatier than just like a sales email. I feel like if you're going to sign up for a newsletter and give me your email, I should create something of value, like something really good that you'd be excited to see when it hits your email inbox. I don't know about you guys, but I'm sure that you are used to seeing emails coming in and you're just like, wah, wah. And I just am tired of, I don't want to create that. You gave me your email and your trust. And so I want to create something good. Mike says, have you ever tried to do something with Spencer Haas? He is good. I haven't tried to do something with Spencer, and it's been on my list for a while. And I think I'm just a little intimidated to approach him because he's been around for quite a bit longer and his name is quite a bit bigger than mine. And I probably just need to get over myself and reach out to him and see if I can make a connection there and find something to do that would be exciting for both of us. Let's see. A millennial recent informed me that Amelias aren't allowed in England. Well, luckily, the U.S., the United States passport is pretty much worthless, and I won't be able to come to the U.K. anytime soon. Pete says, throws popcorn at the tablet screen for the bug. Yeah. I'm going to read this out of sequence and say I'm confused about the chat. That's because I am. All right. So I think I've caught up with the chat. And again, I haven't heard a whole lot of progress, but if you are here and you know that I expect you to drop your progress in, I want to thank Josh for throwing his out there. It does definitely help with the chat. So let's see. I've talked about announcements, shout outs, my personal progress updates. Oh, dang it. Now I have to talk about myself. Let's see, the podcast. I've had some questions, some DMs about the status of the podcast and why it seems like my uploads have slowed down over there. Part of that is because I am throttled because I use Buzzsprout and I pay for a really small plan, which is $12 a month, but it throttles me to 4 hours a month of upload time. And I have been using these first couple months responding to and uploading the interviews that I had previously done on YouTube. I've been requested many times by folks to put those over there because they have a hard time consuming them on YouTube. They find it easier to consume long interviews on the drive or whatever. So I've been going back and shuffling them over there. I think in a couple of months, I will have everything over there. I am going to try to upload some shorter podcasts just to do, to, I guess, freshen it up. But again, it just will be a little while until all that stuff is over there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a podcast. It's called the Fall Forward Podcast, and the link is in the description. It's content that if you like this YouTube channel, I hope that you would like it over there. Also, some of it is similar because I'm moving the interviews over there just to make it easier for people to consume. But I will be posting fresh new content that is not available anywhere else there as well. So if you like that kind of stuff, then check it out. It doesn't cost anything. I don't have a sponsor. I don't have anything over there. It's just me trying to learn how to be a podcaster. Like I said, I think I gave the update on the Substack, and I am excited to report that I have 35 subscribers. Of course, it costs nothing to subscribe, and I haven't blasted out too much of it yet, but I feel humbled, I guess, that 35 people would trust me with their email addresses. And I really want to respect that, which is why I try not to send out garbage. As for my case study, I don't plan to be doing a video on that anytime soon because it's in active sort of work mode. But I will note that I did take the ads off and basically stripped as much out of it as I could for the purpose of trying to improve speed. And I just threw ads back on a couple of days ago, and we're just watching that happen. I will note that my Google Search Console updates. In the desktop now, we've gone from red to yellow simply by changing the theme. The theme solved some of those problems as far as speeding up the LCP and the CLS, so the content cumulative layout shift. But an update of the theme did not solve it entirely for mobile. Updating the theme did solve the CLS issue for mobile, but the LCP issue remains. And what's interesting is when you start changing things, the largest contentful paint element can change. So it went from the logo, then it went to the first image, and now the slowest element on the page is actually the headline. So again, I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board to work on that, but I am continuing to work on that all of the time. So next, what I wanted to touch base on, and I'm going over to my Facebook, and I see people are sending me messages that have bugs in them. Thanks, guys. Thank you for your support. I love you so much. Going to the chat, and then I have a whole bunch of questions that I have received on the channel lately, and because I have been out of town a lot, I haven't had a chance to get over there, and I'm going to answer them today in this video instead, and I'll probably just link the video to those instead. So I'm scrolling down just to check on them. Let's see, answered that. Going scroll. Yep, another pat on the back for Matt. How did I get so far ahead, so far behind? Pete says he's made absolutely zero progress, and I say that is normal. Thank you for sharing. Don't give up. Jesse says he added a site to his Zoic last month, and that's now earning about $10 a day, and added another site last week. I'm all about ads lately. And Jesse, I was going to ask you about your Facebook group and how that was going, if that has been growing and if you've been able to make any progress on that, or what sort of value it is adding to you personally. The thing I don't like about Facebook is that it sucks my life away in time. And I'm just wondering how you are balancing growing a Facebook group with your other interests. Jay, Pete, Jay, Matt says he have another sign up. Thank you very much. Thank you for your trust. I hope to be useful to you. Pete says, what is the URL for the Substink? So the sub thing, that is Substack, and it is in the description of the stream, I should hope, but it's Amelia, like my name, .substack.com, and it should be there. Sabine says, my progress this week is similar articles about the same topic, but different US states. Now I'm worried if that's close to duplicate content. I think it depends on how similar or exact the content is. So if it's word for word, the same thing, that is definitely troublesome. But if you find ways to make the sentence structure different and making sure they're using different words and it's not written the same, I don't know if you need to be as worried, but if you're straight up copying and just spinning the words, that may not be so good. I just, in principle, try to avoid, I guess, going near that. And so maybe people in the comments will have more experience than I, but I just, in general, try to avoid spinning content if I can. Jesse says, I'm not balancing growing the Facebook group. But I have to focus my time on what actually makes me money. Yep, that's why it is that I don't dump a whole lot of time right now into my Facebook group. The group was more of a way to give back and help people out, and we appreciate that. Simply Selling is dropping in. I say, hello, how's it going? Thank you for dropping in. All right, so I'm going to go over here to this screen, which you cannot see because I don't share my screen because I haven't figured out how to do that yet. But Money Finder Hindi left a comment on last week's live stream. He said, hello, I need your help regarding a Zoic. I read some negative reviews about a Zoic, claims they will decrease site speed and then Google will derank your content and penalize you. Is this true? I don't want to affect my SEO and organic search traffic. Please help. Well, first of all, I'm not a Zoic, but and the only thing I can honestly tell you, Money Finder Hindi, is my own personal experience. I use Ezoic on one of my sites, and I use straight AdSense on 4 others. I don't use Mediavine or any other platform yet. One, because I have some sites that could qualify for Mediavine, or could have, because they had more than 25,000, but they wouldn't apply now, but got rejected. And then with Ezoic, I have a site on Ezoic that doesn't seem to be impacted one way or another by what Ezoic is doing on my site. I stripped Ezoic off my site to see if it would recover, and I don't see that Ezoic for me impacts my rankings necessarily. But the question is yet, and I think that what we're going to have to see and pay attention to is how much ads in general and impact the site speed, and how that plays out in the Web Core Vitals updates that we're expecting in 2021. So for me personally, I don't believe that Google has deranked my site or penalized it because I run ads. Other people may disagree and have other opinions, but that's just for me personally. And that's all I can speak to. I haven't had negative experiences because of it, in my opinion. Jay says, what's your opinion on hiring freelancer for blog writing? Benefits outweigh the cost? I think that a lot of the big dogs in content publishing have proven to us again and again that outsourcing content is the way to scale. That's something that needs to be done if you want to really grow something big, because there's just not enough hours in the day for you to create enough content to get there on your own. So benefits outweigh the costs. I think, yes, I think it's actually necessary. The question is, in the beginning, when you first start hiring people, it's hard. It's hard to get the right person, and you are going to probably waste money finding the right writer. But ultimately, I think you look at guys like John Dykstra and Professor Ron and those folks, and Morton Storgard, the passive income geek, they are all doing it. And I think that that's something that we really need to consider. And that's probably something that's holding people like me back, because I'm a control freak, and I'm not ready to hand things off or to spend the money, because I have a really hard time spending, outlaying a lot of cash, because it is a big risk, right? You don't know if content is going to rank, but no risk, no reward. That is really what it comes down to, I think, for content sites. And either you risk your time and you really dump a lot in there, or you end up having to outsource. I think that's something, if you are looking at scaling a blog or buying a site and then really scaling it up, outsourcing is going to have to be a part of that. Jesse says, Chris says that he agrees with Jesse and is not focusing on YouTube because it doesn't bring in the money, just a side thing. When I get up the motivation, yeah, YouTube doesn't make me a ton of money, but I do it because it helps me stay motivated. And I like to think that maybe in the future, I'll have built something that will eventually be valuable and that will earn me money. He wants to give back and have a lot to talk about, but it doesn't make me money. And so he also has a neglected YouTube channel. I think many of us can probably say that. Question from Jonathan Phillip Ho. He says, would you buy from Empire Flippers again? And the answer is yes, I would. I felt like my experience was plenty good, that if I was interested in buying an online business again, that I would feel comfortable doing it with them. Now, for folks that are interested in selling, they may not like the idea of paying the fee to the broker. But for a buyer, I don't think that there's as much of a negative concern about whether or not Empire Flippers will be add costs or anything else. I mean, you might be able to get a better multiple buying something directly from someone, but if you are brand new and you haven't done this before, you've never migrated a site, you've never owned a site, you've never owned an online business, then probably going through a broker, if you have the cash and the time, probably makes sense if you're doing it alone. What I like about groups like Empire Flippers, and I've talked to their people, I trust them, and I don't know that I could necessarily say the same in Facebook groups and the rest. They do a lot of the dirty work for you. Now, will I say 100% that every single business that you would buy from Empire Flippers is going to be perfect? It's not, because they can't control everything. They can't control the algorithm. They can't control the pandemic. They can't control what's happening in the world. But yes, I would buy from Empire Flippers again if I was interested in buying a business. His next question is, are you still open to buying more online businesses in the future, or does this experience turn you away from buying an online business again? Yes, I'm still interested in the future in buying an online business, and this did not turn me off on it. I just learned a whole heck of a lot. And not all of it was positive, but growth is painful, can really be painful, but it was necessary for me because otherwise I'd just be stuck back where I was a year ago. Jay says, do you think it's easy to beat TripAdvisor articles if they're only filled with comments by other people? Can we compare it to Quora? I'm going to throw that one back at the folks that are here because I don't do a lot in the travel blogging niche and I don't necessarily look at TripAdvisor for anything. So could I say, how much does Google look at comments? Are comments and the keywords in comments part of the ranking for the particular page? And I think the answer is yes, that they are. And so I would love to know what other people think about that. I'm going to call out Josh specifically because I want to hear his opinion on this. I missed what this was. Oh, the branded niche safari beanies. And then he says one when we'll get it at 1,000 subs. Now I feel like we need to try really hard to get Chris to 1,000 subs because he's going to make beanies and then I want one. Matt says, YouTube can make you money. It makes me $1,500 per month every month without fail. Don't give in on it. It just takes time and a lot of videos. I am not giving up. I am making somewhere between $175 and $200 a month right now with ads. And this is only the second month that I've been on here, but I have dreams of YouTube gold. That's right. YouTube paper, not giving up. I am in it. Jay says, thoughts on virtual assistants. And I think, yes, if it is vital to you having the business and making it work with your current schedule, do I believe you should just hire anybody? I think no. I think you need to be pretty careful about how much authority you give them. And the horror stories we hear with VAs are one, they weren't competent to do the job that you hired them to do, or two, they maybe do something terrible like trash your YouTube channel. Like there's a horror story about a VA who had a falling out with the creator and then just deleted the whole channel. You definitely don't want to give people too much authority. And I don't care if we're talking about VAs from any specific country or even offline, like your executive assistants or secretaries or helpers. Like you want to make sure that you keep your fingers in and that you stay and you pay attention. You don't just let people run. So yes, virtual assistants are awesome, but I think that they need to be supervised and supervised carefully because this is your business. And I just wouldn't risk letting them run and just checking out and not paying attention for months at a time. That is me. Pete says, you got this. Personally, he says, yes, you can. So talking back to the question about TripAdvisor and the rest, Josh says, yes. He says, but you need to be on target and not fluffy. Sabine says that after the May update, the forum type sites have more weight in the SERPs. Yeah, it's interesting to see how this plays out. And I'm curious to see if that will continue. I'm curious to see if in the next update that rolls out, if those bounce around again. Thanking Josh, who deserves the credit because I didn't earn it. Mike says, years ago, we invested a mountain of cash in buying articles, and it took us 2 years to get quality writers. We are now in a position where we invest 50% of income in new articles. That's awesome. And I think that is a great place to be. I think most sites need new content fairly regularly. I don't think that you can just buy a site and then let it sit because over time that content will probably not age well unless it is just super evergreen and super awesome. But in most cases, most sites are going to need new content. And potentially new content is part of the ranking factor, whether or not a site has been updated in months or recent months or even years. So that's just something to think about. Matt is getting a pat on the back from Chris, who deserves it. Let's see. Josh says, I don't think they do. I don't think they have bounced enough to drop out. I think Quora and Crap have so many links that they rank high when the algorithm sorts, and over time they perform poor and drop over time when your good content goes up. And then the updates hits, and again, you are at less than forums. So what we see then, what I think he's saying is that we're going to see just this constant bouncing up and down. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot in general right now. I'm going to the questions again. It says, how much work is it to maintain and improve your new business? Do you think you could operate while working a full-time job elsewhere? So this was a question that I received on my Empire Flippers Experience 5 months later video. And for me personally, it was something that I could and would own and operate while working a full-time job. I had purchased a handful of content sites. And so owning and operating them was something that I was able to do working, because I was working on other things at the time. But it's a question necessarily of scaling it. So it wasn't something that I would have been able to take and then blow up necessarily. It was something that I was able to manage. But I think that if I was really looking at growing it, and I think that's the challenge that I have seen in the years since I bought those sites, is that I haven't given it enough time overall to really make the most of what it is that I bought. And I guess in hindsight, if I were to go back and do it again, that's something that I would consider is, do I have enough time to really turn this into and achieve the potential that it has? And I probably didn't have it at the time, but I was too excited. I was just too excited. Do I think it's manageable to own and operate several of these online businesses at once? So is it possible to own and manage multiple online businesses? I think the answer is yes. But if you don't have experience, or even if you do, I think what a lot of us find is that we have to have help, because it's really hard to really dump a lot of your time and attention into multiple sites, at least for me. If I'm going to be writing the content myself, updating and managing it myself, then I can only really handle 1 or 2 sites at a time. And what happens is I end up neglecting the other ones and hope they just run for a while on their own until I can get back to them, which is part of the reason why I'm working on getting rid of some of these domains, because they're just sitting there and I'd rather get some value out of them rather than just have them sit there, because I just don't have enough time. There's just not enough time. Do you anticipate most businesses will take some kind of performance hit due to transition? How heavily should I factor that into my purchase? So I think you should factor that into any purchase. I mean, migration, in any case, you'd hope that during migration that they would be quick, right? That you wouldn't have ads off the site, that you would have affiliate links would be transitioned immediately. But ultimately, I think that you have to factor in, especially if you're buying a content site, that there will be downtime where the site is not earning anything. So yes, I think you should factor that in. And I don't think that you should anticipate that in months 1, 2, or even 3, that the income will be back to where it was before, especially if you're heavily leveraged and you're relying upon that instant income to come back in so that you can begin paying maybe a loan, right? You took out a loan to buy the site and you're thinking, okay, the site will immediately be earning in month 1 so that I can budget that money to paying back my loan. I think that's dangerous. I think you should definitely plan for months that the site isn't earning or is down, or even in transition is maybe optimizing to get back to where it was before. And I don't know that every site even gets back to where it was before because of the changes. Sometimes making the changeover can just harm where the business was. And maybe you will just never operate and run it as well as the original owner operator did. Josh again says, and I appreciate your comments, Josh. So you're basically like running the chat over there while I'm talking about God knows what over here. Cream rises at the top and it takes time. Rohit says, Niche Safari, saw your recommended ad earnings estimator about Newer Media. I signed up with them 2 days ago and already getting around $10 RPM might be a viable alternative to Azoic and Mediavine. So I don't know much about Newer Media, but I know that Chris apparently was talking about it and has gotten some positive results, which is awesome. Next question. On my Empire Flippers Experience video, yes. Do you view the income from your business as stable? Like, one thing I'm worried about is buying an online business and then the whole business dying in a year or so. The answer is right now, probably no. I don't know that I view my income from anything I do online as stable, because I think all of us know that it could be gone, in a blink, like boom. So for me, what I do to deal with this is I try not to have all my eggs in one basket. No, I don't have just one site where I dump everything in. I am working on slowly building multiple streams from multiple places. So I'm here on YouTube trying to build up an income stream from ad revenue from YouTube. And I have multiple sites that now, if I just focused all my time and attention on one thing, I probably would be farther along on that one particular thing, but I'm kind of hyper sensitive to what could potentially happen if I just hyper focus on one thing. I'm using hyper way too much. So for me, I don't consider it stable, but I am willing to throw my whole, I guess, career into the world of building stuff online. And I can manage that because I have diversified on multiple streams. So I figure if something happens, they're not all going to go down. And my goal is to try to build each one of these up over time to a point where I could live off of each of these streams. So if they all went down but one, I would be okay. And so my hope is that I have 5 or 6 streams. And I think some random, probably made up statistic, it said the average millionaire has 6 or 7 income streams. So if I can build up 6 or 7 sources of income, that if 1 or 2 or 3 of them went down, that I would be fine. Going over to the comments, Chris is talking about Rohit's comment. Cool. Hey, and by the way, I have not looked to see, do we have a thumbs down yet on this video? And if you have not hit the like button, please do that. So folks who are out there who may not have gotten the notification about this will see it. I don't know who it is out there who sees my videos and then wants to thumbs down them, but please let me know if the thumbs down is over there because I haven't taken a look at it. And the rest. Jesse says, do you worry about not focusing on anything enough to build it to a substantial income and spreading yourself too thin? Sure. Absolutely. And this is something that you and I have talked about in the past, and you got after me about doing too much and I got after you about not doing enough. And I think everybody else's strategy is different. I feel sort of justified here during the pandemic time by being, I guess, diversified. So there was a lot of trouble. I don't want to say panic, but ad rates always get cut in January at the beginning of Q1. And then when people are expecting to see them going up with the pandemic stuff, a lot of people were freaking out because the ad rates were dropping. And then the Amazon cuts happen. And for me, those things all hurt a little bit, but not a lot, because I have these other income streams, both online and offline. So it was like, business as usual. Let's continue to try to build these things. And so for me, I guess it's worthwhile. Yes, I'm spread too thin, and I'm in a heavy growth, I guess, period, trying to build a newsletter, which nobody is really doing, and trying to build a YouTube channel, which some people are doing, and trying to work on my sites, which is hard to do when it's just me, and then doing some other things. But I feel like for me, that it is worth it. Matt says YouTube has been stable for him in the last 18 months. It brings in the same income each month. And that is something for folks to consider. A lot of folks who follow this channel, I think, are working on YouTube or quietly working on YouTube or want to start on YouTube, or maybe they think I'm silly and we're all silly for doing it. But I think all of us want to make money online, and all of us have similar goals, maybe not necessarily in how we do it, but side hustling or main hustling. So YouTube is something I'm trying to do and want to do. And I recommend it for other people if they're willing to throw all in. Matt says thumbs down, not welcome. You know what? They're not welcome, but oh well. It means that somebody's out there, or a bot is out there, who cares enough. Rohit says, talking about the newer, they said it takes about 3 weeks to build a demand. And he says he's not in legal, finance, or similar either. Jay says, I'm happy I made it this week. Got to go now next week. All right, Jay, thanks for dropping in. It is great to talk to you, and I'm glad that we were able to catch up with you this time. And he says, have a good week all. He's probably gone already because I'm like very long behind trying to catch up with these. Let's see. Another question. Talking about Empire Flippers, it says, do I think it's likely that I will make my investment back within the first 3 years? And I will just give you guys the punchline for what percentage of my investment that I have made back so far in 12 months. And it's going to go into my report. Actually, no, I'm not going to say it. Not going to say it. I'm going to save it for the report so then folks will have a reason to go there. Sorry, I teased that and then I just pulled it back. Sorry. Next question. Oh, Asim just left me a comment on my LCP video. It says he likes the work I've put into editing my videos. I'm honestly trying harder to make videos and to get better at editing videos because it's not my strength. And I think you all are, I thank everybody for sort of putting up with me as I experiment with things like spinning around in my chair and climbing out of my closet. But you know what? I want this to be fun. And I haven't had anything go viral. I mean, I'm nowhere near where Matt is, but I feel like I'm going to have to try a lot harder if I want to make that happen. Question. It says, I have built my website from scratch and wrote 10 articles regarding technology. Do I need to wait a few months before applying for AdSense? I live in the United States. So if you'd asked me this last year, I would have said that's plenty of time. It's a couple months old and you have at least 10 articles. And assuming that you comply with the other terms of service with AdSense and your site has everything like a privacy policy and all the rest, I would say go ahead. I was recently talking with a friend who has a brand new site, you know, what started in the last month or so and had a handful, 10 or 15 articles up and applied. We looked at the site over and over and couldn't get any other idea of why his site was being rejected. I honestly think that they just didn't think that it had enough content or it wasn't old enough. And so I don't know if their position on that has changed or if the tech that was reviewing this particular person's site was just down on new websites. So in this case, I would probably advise, given what we have seen in the last few weeks, that CS projects, that you should continue to write more content and wait for the site to get a little bit older and then try. But now, if you try and get rejected now, I mean, the worst that can happen is you just go and apply later and try again. So you could see if you could get through and maybe you will have a better experience than my friend did. But like I said, I don't see any harm in applying and then getting rejected. You just try again later. Pete says, boo. Jesse says, I suck at editing videos. I end up over editing them. Yeah, I'm definitely there. I do that plenty, like getting down in there and editing out every like intake of breath, like, you know, or as you're talking or like, or ah, and like, I got to stop doing that because it's a waste of time, but I can't help myself. Mosquito, I don't know what you guys are doing. Use Camtasia for editing, so much easier and cheaper than Adobe Premium Pro. I don't use Adobe. I have actually used Screencast-O-Matic for the last year to do screen share videos. So I can record my screen and then put my little square, like my face over here in the square. I recently started using Filmora, which is helping me. It helped me create my intro, my, you know, rolling the intro, my like super short intro, and then to do overlays. And then it actually is pretty easy to strip the audio out so I can use the audio for my podcast. So that is helpful. I downloaded or started looking at the Adobe set of tools and it just looked really complicated for me. I'm kind of a technical dope and I'm still learning. So pizza, site not old enough, not enough content. This seems eerily familiar. No comments, Pete. Let's see. Farouk says, what software do you use for YouTube Live? And if you had asked me that a week ago, I would have said none whatsoever, because I just go into YouTube Studio and hit the button that says go live. But I went there to do that this morning, about an hour and a half ago, and that was not an option. So today I'm using the free version of StreamYard, and you can see up there in the corner that it says powered by StreamYard. And that is because I am unwilling to spend the money to get the premium version to take that off, but it does everything that I need to do. And I'm fine if it says powered by StreamYard. So StreamYard is free. If you want an affiliate link, I think I have one, but I'm not trying to promote it super hard. Wow, I got a super long and helpful comment from Mako5562. That's Daniel. Basically, he's super awesome. Question from Excelsior TM. He says, what is your opinion about AdsTerra? Is it a reliable company? And I would have to say that I do not have a good answer for that because I don't use AdsTerra. And so I can only talk about things that I have used. I feel like that's the only thing I should be qualified to use. And so I'm sorry, I'm going to have to punt on that one. Not sure what's going on there, but there are caterpillars and Jesse says, I use iMovie for editing, but you use a Mac, right? I think if I used a Mac, I probably would use iMovie as well. And I think it's free and comes with the computer, I think. Not being a Mac user, I could not say for sure. Question, can I use Ezoic with a domain LK? So it gives your website name and an LK. Can I use Ezoic? I don't recall that a .com is required to use Ezoic. I think in general, the higher level domains are definitely help you to get approved, but I think it should come down to what the content is on there and what the traffic is. So if your only thing that you're on the fence about for using Ezoic is the .com versus the .lk, I would just apply and see what happens. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is they say no. Call me XYZ says, hey, Amelia, are you using Mediavine now? Answer is nope, I am not. I had plans to apply at 25,000 and those plans went recently when Mediavine changed their minimum requirements from 25,000 sessions to 50,000. So I have some sites that would qualify, but Mediavine didn't want them, doesn't want them. And so for now, I am not using it. Question. So after 12 months, what are your thoughts? Which is better, AdSense or Ezoic? And I say Ezoic. Let's see. Question or comment. It says, yeah, iMovie comes free with Mac and is far less complicated than something like Adobe Premiere Pro. Yes, there is a duck in the upper right-hand corner, and I am okay with it. I'm going to check my to-dos because I realize now I've been here for an hour. And let's see. I wanted to talk about my personal progress updates, answer questions. Should I keep going? So that's a quick question, folks. Should we keep doing this every Wednesday? I mean, should I go down to like once a month, or is once a week or once every other week? Like, how is this going? I really would like to have your thoughts on that, because I don't know that I always show up and really do a great job here. And I just want to know if this is still valuable to folks. I'm going through my notes right here before I click off here. Let's see. I wanted to talk about the podcast, which I did, the case study, Substack, Ezoic, Diligence. Oh yeah, if you're jumping on, my announcement in the beginning was that I am going to participate in Diligence, and I think my presentation is on the 30th, maybe the 29th. I can't remember, but if you're interested, it's free to sign up, and there are 3 or 4 days of presentations for content publishers. It's free, so check it out in the description. And yeah, I think that about covers it. I'm going to check the comments really quick before I go. Let's see. Chris is talking about Mediavine. Yeah, I think a lot of people were bummed about that, but that's life and we're going to get there. Pete has nearly finished Amelia's newsletters. As Karate Kid was told, write faster. Well, you're just going to have to deal with it. What do you use to manage your workflow for multiple sites? I use Google Sheets. I make lists. And then I start at the top and work my way down. I don't do anything complicated. For me, I like lists and I like checking things off lists. And so I make a list of everything that I need to do. And then I start at the top and I just commit to working my way down without skipping things. And that way I get things done. Cat Speak says yes, talking about Wednesdays. Jay says yes. Naeem says yes. Well, if anybody was here and said no, like, that would be silly. Sabine says yes. Matt says yes. Pete says yes. Every Wednesday and a chance to mock the beanie. You know what I need to do is I need to put on one myself, and I'll be in solidarity with Chris. Here, this is for Chris. This is my daughter's hat. How do I look? All right. Matthew says, I will definitely make it every week. We look forward to seeing you again. Matthew, I think that the flower should go over here. There we go. What do you think? Should this be the new style? Chris says the beanie stays. Who hit the thumbs down? Make yourself known. Whoever hits the thumbs down, they're going to be putting themselves out there for an onslaught of people going and hunting them down. You look like Amelia with a hat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the thumbnail to this, like some sort of like, and then people who didn't watch this will wonder what in the is going on there. Oh yeah, with that look. All right, guys, make a note to show up at Pubtelligence because I really would love to have you guys come there and talk to me. And then let's show the Pubtelligence people that I'm awesome. And you guys will help me do that. All right, I'm overdue to hop off and I have a lot of work to do because I need to get that Empire Flippers update done. So I'm going to go and do that. Love you guys. We'll see you next Wednesday. All right, 10 o'clock Pacific time. And thank you, new folks who showed up. Matt, thank you for showing up and participating. It was great to have you. Do we have more thumbs down? Oh, screw those guys. All right, take care, everybody.